Welcome to the SeizeYourBusiness.com podcast and video blog. My name is Kevin O'Flaherty from O'Flaherty Law. Here, as always, joined by my co-host, Jim Wazak.
Hello, everybody out there in TV land.
Yeah, and Jim, what Jim does is he helps provide for ancillary costs when someone gets cancer.
Correct.
Right? So you do supplemental cancer insurance?
Most people, even if they have really good coverage and their regular insurance, they're still looking at $50 to $100,000 out of their own pocket. So we provide extra money to help with that. And we give you your premium back if you never need it.
Previously been a business consultant. He does business improv, all sorts of stuff. And we're joined today by our guest, Ryan Siebert from SG Home Builders. Our topic today is going to be not being afraid to ask questions as a business owner. So, Ryan, thanks for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, welcome, Ryan.
Yeah.
Always a
Thanks,
pleasure.
Tell us about SG Home Builders, what you do, how you got into it, and a little bit about your background.
So SG Home Builders, we are a real estate development company. We are actually now focus on home building and custom remodeling. So more on the custom side over the last couple of months. Basically, how I got into it, my uncle paid for my college. He was running a successful mortgage company, still owns the mortgage company. It's still successful. And he just came up with $1 million credit line and said, I'm going to try to make a little fun money, so to speak. So he took that to the company that we own now today. We've done over 400 projects. We did a lot of speculative remodeling, flipping homes, first-time homebuyer product. The last 3-4 years, we've gotten into higher-end products. And that's how we started becoming a home building company, because you get to a point where you're flipping a $700,000 house. Why don't you just build a completely new construction property? So that's how we got into new construction. And over the last couple of years, we've gotten more into the custom side of the business. So basically all the mess ups that we've had over 10 years in construction, learning how to become a home builder, we're now able to do it the right way and offer those services to a client.
So what's the most interesting thing you've had to build? I mean, anything out of the ordinary, or?
As far as the ones that we've built, they've been
or remodel or whatever.
Fairly basic, but we did a lot of remodeling of homes. You've got some old 1970s homes where you kind of question what the architect was thinking when they actually designed the property. So lots of different levels. There was a property we did out in the south suburbs that had 5 different levels. So it was a split level. Your typical split level is going to be 3 levels. Your main entryway, you go down into your family room, you go up where your bedrooms are at. Well, this one had a sub-basement, so a quad, and then it had another sub-basement. So it actually had 5 total levels of homes. So
wow.
You almost, again, you question what the architect was thinking, because of course the foundation had plenty of leakage issues in those 2 lower levels.
So it had like a basement and 2 lower levels. Yeah,
the lower level I wouldn't consider a basement. Your typical
like
tri-level.
Tri-level.
Like
Okay, so there was 2 levels beneath the lowest level.
Yeah, two levels underneath that.
Okay.
Massive property. I mean, it was probably close to 4,000 square feet.
Any idea why or what they were thinking? I mean, was this like a NASA bomb shelter or something?
Not so much. I think it was just more of they wanted the quad, but they wanted the other 5th level for storage.
Okay.
But we turned that into a second basement. Actually, we finished all 5 levels of the proproperty, so it ended up being a huge project. So those are always fun.
So our topic today is about asking questions, and what we've seen with a lot of entrepreneurs, yours truly included, is we think we know. That's why we become entrepreneurs, but a lot of times, if we just ask some questions, we might learn something. Is there anything you could think of in your history where, maybe asking the right question might have
how
saved
much
you
time do
some
you have?
grief?
I can go through.
Sure, okay.
I can start my own podcast as far
Sure.
as. So, just in general, I'm young. I'm 31 years old, and I've been blessed enough my uncle was able to let me take over this. Like I said, it was just kind of a random company that we've turned into a successful company. But part of that arrogance, and I'll go as far as saying cockiness sometimes, is you think you know everything. And when you get into a rut, whether it's financially, whether it's with the client, whether it's in my case with construction, not quite knowing exactly what we're doing, sometimes you try to be a superhero and not ask for questions, not ask for help, not ask for advice. Specifically to the business side, my uncle built this successful company. He's sitting on Miami Beach right now on a condo very well. He didn't do that just because he got lucky. He knew what he was doing.
Yeah, good for him. Yeah.
I don't ask him questions of all the people to ask questions a lot of times. I still to this day will say, I'll just figure it out on my own.
Right.
I got a guy with who have plenty of experience, I can pick up the phone and he'll pick it up in 2 seconds and say, hey, here's what's going on. Can I get some advice on this?
So what do you think, like, holds you back? Is it, like, ego or?
I think ego's a big part of it. I gotta be honest with you. I think ego's a huge part of it. Just trying to show that you can do it on your own, and wanting to prove. For me, a lot of it is proving, because my uncle gave me this opportunity, proving to people that he didn't just give it to me.
Right.
That I'm worthy of what it is. But even other entrepreneurs, you see them make just flat out dumb decisions in their business because they were afraid to ask. So me specifically in real estate, I have a real estate license as well. But if I go into a new neighborhood, why wouldn't I ask the local realtors first? And I've made that mistake many times. Instead of asking the local realtors, what do you think about this particular lot that we're going to build on? Or how should we do 4 bedrooms upstairs or do 3 bedrooms upstairs? And just getting the local vibe for it. So not being afraid to ask those questions, but also not being afraid to pay for that advice. That's the other side of it, is some people don't ask because they don't want to pay for it. They're afraid if they ask the question, they're going to end up being tied to a financial obligation.
You must have had quite a learning curve, because how many years have you been doing this for now?
10 years now.
10 years? Okay. So you were 21 when you started doing this, and your uncle comes in and says, hey, I've got some fun money, I want to start this company. Was there an apprenticeship period, or did he basically just kind of put you in charge right off the bat?
So I've had some mentor figures that I've worked with that have given me advice, but the fun part about working for my uncle, although he's been very successful, he hasn't really ever had a corporate America type structure in the businesses that I've worked at. Now his mortgage company today is a very corporate America, very structured, very profitable. They're, the next stage of becoming a very successful business, where I'm still kind of in that rookie stage, even 10 years into it. But yeah, my uncle and I will joke often that I have a Harvard education of mistakes that I've had to go through. So learning the hard way is sometimes the best way, but you when you think you have it figured out, that's when you stop asking questions, and then that's when you lose, so to speak.
Well, I can relate to that on a couple of levels. I'm a very avid golfer, and it seems to me whenever I think, okay, I got this figured out, the next day is disaster.
Yes.
There was another interesting story. A long time ago, I had a Camaro, and I'm trying to change one of the parking lights, and I figured, well, I'm no ace mechanic, but I ought to be able to change a bulb, and I'm looking and can't find any screws, and I can't reach, and I'm just befuddled. So finally the guy next door worked at a Chevy dealer, and I said, hey, how do you change this bulb? Oh, no big deal. You reach underneath the bumper, and it just pops right out. So sometimes knowing that sort of secret, the trick.
Outside perspective, you're looking at it one way over and over and over and beating your head over the table.
Absolutely.
Just need one little outside perspective. Say, try it this way.
Is there a specific instance you can think of where you sort of, made a mistake that could easily have been avoided?
Off the top of my head, a specific instance that could have been avoided. I think for me being young and being put in charge, and again, we're a small company, so it's not like I'm in charge of this conglomerate of people. But there's been a few times where, on a culture level for the company, where I'm so focused and locked into here's where I'm taking the company. I've got a vision in my head, and not sharing that with the group, and not asking for advice, or hey, I want to shift things a little bit this way. Not saying, hey, here's calling my uncle, or even calling just a business advisor. Here's where I'm thinking. What do you think about this? And getting that perspective to make it an easier transition. I just told you guys we're doing more custom construction today. All right. That's a transition that's been difficult for us. We were used to doing spec homes, and I look back even in the last 6 months saying, here's how I did this for the last year. Here's what I did. Here's the route I took. Or if I would have sat back and said, well, guys, let's do it. Here's what I see, or talk to my uncle. Here's what I see. Here's how I see this working. He may have said, why don't you try it this way? Why don't you communicate openly? Let everybody know exactly what's going on, what's in your head, so you can get through this a little bit easier. So it's not just bump, 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 bump all along the road.
Well, I think that's also a really good point. I would say in my business experience, one of the most underutilized resources are the employees. for whatever reason, I know several stories when I was in management positions, and I'd get everybody here and say, here's the problem, what do you guys think we should do? And it's just amazing, the creativity and the solutions people have. So that may be one of your first, for all you, business owners, one of your first sources is make sure you're asking your people for their input, because sometimes they see things, they're maybe not as committed as you, but they certainly have a vested interest in their business doing well.
Yeah, and part of it is that empowerment that you give the group of people you're working with, so they feel valuable, making everyone feel like they're important and coming up with a solution together. And again, we all try to play the Superman role where we're just gonna deal with it. We're gonna, you see all the quotes, it's time to grind it out. People always want to grind through things, and sometimes you have to take a step back and get the help of your internal group, or you may need to go external and get a business advisor to help you out, or get someone that's from the outside perspective to help you see it differently.
It's amazing how one little kernel of knowledge can kind of change your whole plan. I have a recent example of something that could have been streamlined. I spent a lot of time on search engine optimization, ranking high on Google, and I was beating my head against the wall, doing a lot of great things, putting a lot of time into it, putting a lot of effort into it, but for some reason in Naperville, I couldn't get on the first page for Naperville divorce attorney. I was getting on the first page everywhere else, and usually number one, but I couldn't like get over this hurdle. So I was like meeting with SEO experts, trying to get them to help me, get from point B to point C, and I would have paid a lot of money for it. And I ended up paying somebody that just kind of basically took $600 and didn't do a whole lot. But then I asked a buddy of mine to just, hey, I was thinking about hiring him, but we wanted to sit down and see what it would take to get from point B to point C. And he starts looking at it, and he looks at all the websites, and he's like, well, Kevin, all of these websites are put on by like 2 or 3 companies, and it was a situation where they were all basically pay to play. Okay. So we discovered in that conversation, after I'd spent a year, reading books, doing everything possible to rank higher and higher, that I'd hit the point where if I wanted to rank any higher, there was nothing I could do organically. It was like I got to pay this company to get my website up there, which I wasn't going to do. And if I hadn't asked that question, I wish I'd asked that question, found that information about 4 months earlier, because that would have saved me a lot of effort. But then I was like, okay, well, I'm done with my SEO creativity. I'll package what I'm doing, systematize it, go back to practicing a lot of law. But I would have probably never figured that piece of the puzzle out on my own, because I wasn't going to find that in a book. I needed to ask a friend to get a new perspective on it.
You continue to look for the answer in a book.
Yeah.
Another webinar or something. So.
And books are great. I mean, I always start there. There's so many great ebooks, so many, you can Google almost anything, but sometimes you just need, that creativity of another mind that you can't get from that.
Yeah, so. It's huge sometimes, because I assume we're so locked into that one problem, getting the solution for that problem.
Right.
And there has to be a solution, right? There's a solution for everything.
Right.
So, that would have been difficult mentally to get out of unless you had someone else to pull you out of it.
And you can, we mentioned ego before too. Sometimes as an entrepreneur you can get locked into a plan and you've got some ego invested in that plan working out the way you initially expected it to. It's kind of like winning a poker hand when you're really pot invested, even if you don't have the best cards and you don't have the best cards. It's hard to fold that hand.
Yes.
Sometimes you need to fold the hand and,
live to play another day.
live to play another day. And sometimes not every idea is going to turn out the way you want it to, and getting an outside perspective can help with that.
And I think that you don't necessarily have to spend a lot of money. I know when Kevin and I first got to know each other a few years ago, he'd meet me for lunch, and he'd say, one thing I like about talking, I always get some new ideas, and we were just having conversations. So I think just letting people know what you're doing, what you want to do, you just never know. You just never know where
it's going to go. Leads to having that good sphere of influence, or the people you connect with. I mean, people always say that the 5 people you hang out with the most are the ones you end up being most like. If they're not giving you ideas, get 5 new people. So try to hang out with people who you want to be.
Right. And you know what? I've done for some people what I've called, actually somebody else invented this, but he called it a quantum leap team. And what we would do is get a business owner, typically a earlier stage entrepreneurial business, and we'd get like 4 other experienced business people together, and we'd just do a brainstorming session.
Okay.
And it's unbelievable when you get 4, 5, 6 smart people together focusing on a problem. And the other thing is, once you do that kind of process, all these people that were on the team become like your advocates, because now they really want to see you succeed.
Yeah.
So that's another way to do it. And some companies have advisory boards, and there's peer groups. There's a lot of ways to not be by yourself.
Yeah, and it's always interesting hearing it from a different industry perspective. I'm in real estate, you're in law, you're selling insurance. So here's what my problem is. In real estate, and I'm locked into just the real estate side of it, and getting someone to say, well, have you looked at it again from a different perspective, and from a different industry, or how you dealt with it in the past. So,
Sure.
That's always a great way to deal with problems.
Even just when me and you sat down a couple months ago, I thought I was like the marketing guru of marketing gurus, and I had every idea that I knew it was what the options were, and I was just executing the one I wanted. But you were talking to me about some of the stuff you're doing for marketing. There's like stuff I never thought of, and I'm like, man, that I haven't had a chance to like explore it yet, but it's stuff that wasn't even on my radar, and it's always, I love sharing ideas for business growth. But so if someone wants to reach you, Ryan, how can they do that, and who's a good customer for you?
Yeah, so to reach me, you can go to sghomebuilders.com. You can call me my personal line, my cell phone line, 847-602-7641. You can text that line if you want to. Clients, we're really focused right now on the clients who are looking to do custom construction. Are they looking to customize a new construction home? Great. Are they looking to remodel an existing project on their own house? Ideally, we're looking for projects that are going to require you to be out of the property. So we're not your just one bathroom or kitchen guys, but we're more on the bigger projects. But anyone who just has questions about how that whole process goes, about how to finance those projects, we can handle it from start to finish.
All right, and Jim, how can people reach you?
Best way is the old-fashioned way, telephone, 630-272-3895. And Kevin, how do we get a hold of you?
Yeah, you can call me at 630-324-6666 to schedule a free consultation. We do almost every area of law, but I handle our business law personally. If you'd like to check out more podcasts, videos, or articles, you can go to seizeyourbusiness.com. We also have a legal podcast and blog, learn-about-law.com. I want to thank Tom Weiler from Weiler Studios for doing our video. He does videos for business owners so they can tell their story. Go to weilerstudios.com if you'd like to hire him to do your video. He does a great job. Thanks so much for listening.